In this video, we'll show you how to put together this graduation hat congrats box, which is an SVG from Simply Crafty SVGs. So these are the pieces to the box. So this is for the congrats topper. And we're going to use a little piece of a skewer, a cut skewer, to be able to, we have one right here, to attach it to the top. Then we have, these are the tassel pieces. So this is a paper tassel. If you want to know how to do like a twine or like embroidery floss, something like that, I'll put a link in the video. So we'll be doing that. And then here are the panels for the side. These are optional pattern ones, but some people might want to make them black. So if you want to make them black in the file, they're a different color, but you can always make them black if you wanted to keep it the same color, or if like you were doing a dark blue or whatever color you decide to do. If you do a color down here, and I'll show you a version of that. And these are the little windows that go in. So that's little windows. So the pieces of the hat are these two, and this. Okay, so we're going to do the hat last. Let's do the easiest part and some layering first. So let's go ahead and put the panels on this. So it's easier when it's flat, but I would say go ahead and fold it. So the way that I fold these things, just be careful of that particular piece. Just do that one first. And usually, because it's such a thin, there's a cut right next to it, sometimes it gets hard to fold it, so you just put it against the table, find the fold, and fold it up. So if you're using a score wheel, so there's a tab, or a score tool for Cricut, you may have to actually manually score it a little deeper if you didn't use dash lines. So that's where the dashed cut lines come into play. This, I use my silhouette to cut my score lines, solid score lines. I wish we had that version, the ability on Cricut, but not yet. Or deeper scoring would be nice, without having to do it 2 to 3 times. So I did that just to make it easier to fold once we get it together. So there's 2 ways you can put these panels on. You can either, so these are the little windows. If you don't want to have the little window pieces, which are just acetate, I'm using transparency paper that I have. If you want those, then you can go ahead and put it, this is what that panel's for, is to, you can glue it to the back of this. There's 2 ways to do it. It's smaller, so you can glue it to the back of it, or you can glue it to this piece and just make sure that you have it centered on the right and left, and more on the top than bottom would be better. So I like to glue it to this, but the way you glue it to the panel is like this. Well, it's just a little bit too much glue. Be careful with the amount of glue you use when you're using acetate. So I'm just getting the glue off my fingertips. I want the shiny side down. I mean, for what I'm using acetate. So I mean transfer paper. So if you do use transparency paper like I am doing, gotta get the name right here. And then you can glue it on in place. Just line it up like that. Okay? Or the other way you can do it is this way. And you see I'm kind of getting glue close to the edge, but not too far away, because this is, we don't want to get on the edge. There's a little border on the edge. So you need to know how far you can go. So I'm just starting there and dropping it down and making sure it's centered on left to right, so you don't see any of this when you put the panel on. But I think it's easier to put that down like that than to put it on here and then put this on. So you see, so the panel serves as a purpose to help hide this. Yes, you could omit the panels altogether and just glue on the inside. So that's the other option you can do. So I'm going to go ahead and put these panels on. So let's put this on. So you can see if you put it on like that, you just have to be careful of the glue. Line it up. The opening will line up perfectly. So you should have the same border around the edge. So it just depends on what look you want. So, but I do think this is easier. So let me finish this. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish putting on these windows all the way across and then putting the panels on them. So if you put the windows this way, all you're doing is doing the same thing, lining it up. So I'm making sure that this cut lines up with the cut back there. So once you get the panels on like that, you can go ahead and fold it over. You can fold it flat. Be careful. You might want to lift this a little bit because you do not want glue on any of those windows. So I'm just putting thin glue, making sure that none of it comes off the edge to get onto those windows. If you're concerned about it, just find a little piece of paper and place it right underneath there. Okay, that not one obvious one, that a spare, just a scrap. Put it underneath and I'll show you. I just have to get one. So here we go. You can do that and just make sure it doesn't get on your window. And it should fold right over in place, and it was just a smidgen off, but it's okay. What's a smidgen anyways, right? Then we can go ahead and just add glue to these remaining tabs down on the bottom. If you're going to put something really heavy, you can glue them onto the bottom, or you could glue them inside, so that's your option. So either way, I'm not going to put anything up. I'm going to put a little candy, and the glue should be strong enough to hold the candy in this particular box. I know, and gift card. A gift card is very light. So make sure you have good coverage to start, and then we'll just fold it over. Just going to carefully, while the glue's wet, get it into place around the edges. Just gently bend it into place. Be careful to put too much force because we got windows up there. So that's the nice thing about having those panels. It strengthens the box a little bit on the sides too, so it just doesn't bow down. So now inside I can go ahead and add pressure. I'm going to use my wooden chopsticks. I think I use these. I haven't used chopsticks for the real purpose in a while. Haven't had any Chinese food. So just getting excess glue off. So there's the box. And if you wanted it to be a solid color, this is what it would look like solid. So just to give you an idea, some people might prefer it that way, more of a classic look versus this way. But I could see doing like metallics, embossing this piece would be fun. So if you did like a gold or something and embossed it with a pattern. Now you can't really see it here, but you'll see it right there. It'll make it a little weaker, but it still look good. So just a different thought, because then when they pull the lid off, they're going to see it. So we have that done. So let's go ahead and we're just going to get this ready. So this actually, let's just do this little tassel. So this is a paper tassel. We have, let me go ahead and close my glue here. we have instructions on how to do one with a twine, and there's videos out there too if you want to do something with twine or maybe embroidery floss or something like that. You could do that. There's instructions. So this, what we're going to do is you're going to take each one of these pieces, so they're all cut out. You see it's fringe. I would just first just kind of curl it with your fingertips just to start the curve. Get it a little bit more flexible. And I'm going to take my stylus. I'm going to glue them together. So it depends on whether you want the blue on the outside or the blue on the inside. So let's say you want that and you want the blue accents. So let's just do that. I'm going to glue these together. Just with a little glue. You don't need a whole lot. Get my excess glue off my fingertips. Match them up. So I just was trying to think of a different way to do a tassel that's dimensional. I like it. It's different. I like it because it's different. I'm sure others have done it before, but I just started playing around with the paper. So now I'm going to just, as the glue is not quite dry, start to wrap it around this. And we're just going to use this to start. So you want something thin to start wrapping around. You could use that to wrap it around, but I feel like that's a hindrance to me. For people that do a lot of flowers, I mean, I'm sure they have techniques that they use to do this. There's nothing perfect. We're just going around. This one's a little longer. So what I found with this is if it overlaps like this, which it will, so you can see this top. You see there's a little bit more blue? All I did was take scissors and trim it off. It's really up to your taste. You can do the same color too, or you can just do one layer. It doesn't matter. So I want to glue the ends, so I can use that, or I can use, you could, if you want instant results, use a glue gun. We're going to be using a glue gun for part of this project. So I'm going to do this and just hold it, just making sure. So then you can flare it out as I'm holding it to get that glue to dry. I'm just going to flare it out a little bit. Now all I'm going to do is tie a little twine around the edge here and then tie it to the top of the hat when we get that done. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that it's good and dry and let it sit and dry for a little bit before we go on to the next step. And you could also go in here and put glue in there or hot glue. So that's up to you. So here are the lid pieces. We have, this is the bottom of the lid, the top of the lid with the hole in it. We have 3 circular items. So what that is this stick will go through this and also in the top of the box, like that, to hold up the topper. So let's go ahead and put it together. Let's go ahead and put this on first. I'm going to put this edge on first, and then we're going to put this together and attach it to this. So, let's just get these 3. So if you didn't want to put a topper, you could always cover that little hole with this little hole. This just makes it thicker. I'm just going to do 3 layers with a little brad or an enamel dot or something like that. Just maybe color coordinated to the school colors. But we want this ready for when we get to that point. So I just layered those. And then we'll go ahead and take these two pieces. We want to fold them. So you kind of want to gently fold them up. This is when you get to really thin items like this, it helps to do it that way. And I'm pre-folding it before we put it together. Be careful, this is thin. This is not the thickest, so I could have made it thicker, but you know, typically a hat's really not that thick. But I just thought it'd be fun to give it a little 3-dimension. So let's go ahead and just glue these together. Just glue it on the inside. So the difficulty is just lining this edge up. It's not really difficult, but make sure you look closely, make sure they're lined up. It's lined up to the fold, the tab fold. And get it as straight as possible. Then we're going to fold over that other piece. There's a little tab. They're flimsy, so it could come apart. So now I'm just lightly folding them. I don't want to pull anything apart. I'm going to put this on. Make sure that the textured side, if you're using textured cardstock like I am, make sure it's showing on the outside and the untextured on the inside. What I usually do, and we're going to do this the same on the other side. First of all, don't get glue like that on the sides. So that's where this, just have a damp cloth. I'm just going to anchor this. And I'm lining it up. So I'm lining this edge up on this tab and the inside like that. So you can put it flat like that, and for now. And I want to put this together first because this piece is going to go inside. So I want this already together, so it'll be easier for me to do that. If I put this on first and then attach this, it would be harder for me to apply pressure where I needed to. So once they're all glued, or all the glue's there, I'm just going to line it up carefully as I place it down before the glue really adheres. This is going to strengthen the corners too. So I'm just being gentle about the whole thing. Get it in place. Rub the edges a little bit, and we fortunately can flip it over and apply pressure inside. The other side we won't be able to do that. We just wanted to get it in place for this one. And then the top one will be a little bit different because we won't have anything to really, we'll just be able to carefully put it in. So if you do have one that came apart just a little bit at the edge here, I'm going to add a little bit more glue. It's just because of the nature of how thin it is. So if you hold it long, honestly, it may look harder than it really is. It pretty much putting that top and bottom will pull everything together a little bit better for you. Even if there's a pull a little bit in an edge, like that one. Black paper, just an FYI, for those that don't know and they struggle with black paper, there's a reason for it. It's just the way it is. All this is a little bit extra fibrous. And anyways, so we're going to put that aside. And then we're going to fold this. So I'm just quickly folding this how it needs to go. So I'm folding all mountain folds, except the end tabs that will be attaching this piece to the lid will have to be a valley fold. So just make sure, just makes it easier. And I'm just gonna fold it back, fold it back. So I'm just training this for the piece that will go, that will attach, how we'll attach it to the actual lid. So what we're going to do is just go around and glue these little tabs right here underneath, right here. So be careful, have a little wet paper towel handy if you need to get excess glue, because it will be visible. And it's coming out a little messy because I need to clean my tip. You can see that now. So I'm going to go ahead and continue gluing around and get this tip clean, and then we'll close it up on the side here. So I added glue on the sides here, this last two tabs. We're just going to line up the bottom one first. Then we'll just angle that other one underneath just like we did all the other little ones. So now we're going to go ahead and attach this to that lid piece that we just started. So it's going to go in like this. Let me just push those in a little bit. We're just going to attach one, add glue to one tab. So make sure you can see it. Try not to get glue on the top. We're just going to align that edge into the fold and then glue it on the bottom like that. Then I like to do the opposite when I'm dealing with hexagons or polygons of any kind. Especially even ones are what I'm really talking about, not even polygons. I want to go ahead and glue the opposite tab just to get it in place. And I can't get it flat anymore, so I'm just using my fingers to apply pressure. Then glue all the other tabs on the inside. So the only thing you want to just make sure is kind of push it in a little bit to get that edge right there aligned to the inside tab fold. That hole is a little bit bigger than the hexagon that's cut out. It's a little bit bigger than the edges, so it should line up properly. It just gives you a little bit more wiggle room. But when it comes to this last one, I mean, you could go around too. So, but I just kind of move it in a little bit. And I have a little glue on this fingertip. So I'm just be careful not to grab the box on the top with them. So it's important when working with black, as I'm sure many of you know, just if you don't have panels and you want to keep things clean. And I do not have panels on the top of this at all, or on the bottom. So it wouldn't be shown as much because this is the lid that goes like that. So this will be like this. So that's part of it. So we're almost there. Let's make it look like a hat now. Now let's go ahead, we're going to place this right here. And what that's going to do is clean it up so it looks solid right there. It'll also, we just don't want that hole because we'll need that to get the skewer, to glue the skewer to. So we need something to go. It would be strange if it just went through the hole. So I'm going to glue I want if somebody turns it upside down, I want them to see textured cardstock. Now we're going to go ahead and put this on. So now it's going to hide everything. So what we want to do again is anchor one side. And I see it's pulling apart a little bit on the edge there. So you know what? I wouldn't worry too much about it, and I'll tell you, like I said, once you get that lid on it, it pulls it together because we're going to pull all the sides together underneath this piece. So I like the dimension more than I like bugging with, dealing with this. So this is for somebody special anyways. So I'm going to line that up. Wishing I had longer fingers. Okay, that's where I want it to be. And then just apply pressure there. So now that we have glue on all of them, we can go ahead and do the same thing we did on the other side. You could use something like score tape, but you have to remember that it's instant when it comes to score tape or something like that, adhesive. So you don't have much wiggle room, where with glue you have a little play so you can kind of get things into place. So be careful of pushing too hard on this bottom piece. So once it's in place, we're just going to rub. This is the benefit of getting one side anchored, because we're only dealing with 3 sides now. I'm just going to go ahead and put it upside down, give it a little rub, see if I can get it adhered. Here it is. And I have like one little crooked corner maybe. I point that out. Nothing's ever perfect, but I mean, it looks like a little hat, huh? How many ways can you make a hat, a graduation hat? So, but there's many ways actually. So now we want to go ahead and we're going to put that congrats on. One thing I would say before you do anything, there's 2 ways. There's a couple ways you could do this. You could tie the tassel on. So I'm just going to tie something to make the tassel length. So the way you want to figure out the tassel length is up to you. I take the box that you already created. I'm going to pop this up with a little pop-up with foam tape around the edge. And the reason I'm doing that is so we have something to wrap around. So I'm on the non-texture side. Just going to go around the edge a little bit here. Actually, I think that's actually sufficient for what I need to do. The biggest thing is that we line it up with the hole down there. So I'm going to put this in just to help me guide it. So again, this is a skewer, just like a barbecue skewer. So I just did that so I could line it So now we're going to put the topper on. So again, if you don't want to use the topper, you can clean it up, put a little, either a brad before you put this on, or you could put, I'm giving you ideas, or like a little enamel dot or something like that. So now it goes down about that far. So I have to determine how far up I want congrats to be. I'm going to put it in an angle, like that. So you can see it from the top of the box, but from the side you can't. So let me take this out so it's not interfering. We'll take it off now that we know what the size is. We're going to go ahead and put it on sideways this way. So it's going to say congrats across there. But we want to know how high we want to make it. So I'd say probably, let me see, about, I don't know, it's up to you how far you want to go. I wouldn't say an inch because the inch is too high. Well, actually, we'll do a little bit like like 1.25. I'll cut it off. So I'm going to cut it off at this end because I've already cut it here. So I'll go 1.5 so I can get, because part of this is going to go inside and part of it's going to go in there. So let's go 1.5. So I'm going to use these pair of dikes, or diagonals they call them, but they call them dikes. I'm just going to cut off here. So if you do use these, just be worried. This is a skewer that you want to just be careful and not cover your eyes, wear eye protection, nobody else in the room. There you go. So I got it shorter now. We're just going to glue this. I'm not going to use hot glue for this part. Hot glue drives me batty, but it's because I don't work with it all the time. I'm going to go ahead and only have the blue part. It's around the G that we're going to need to glue. There's a little piece of hot glue. So there might be better ways to do this, but this is the way I'm doing it. Just lining this up with the blue. So the back side of congrats. There's still room on the under the G. What I'm going to do is now put a little glue in here. So that's about centered. Congrats. Let's go ahead and cover this. So we're almost done. Now we can do this and put the tassel back on. So I'm just going to put a little glue on the tip. I just don't want it to show all over the... Just going to put a little on the tip. I'm going to see which angle I want to be front, which corner. Go like that one. Slowly get it in. I'm just feeling, I should feel it on the other side. I just want to make sure I put my finger so it doesn't pop through. So there's the congrats. It's a little higher than I expected, but that would be fun. So you could make it shorter. I'm just going to put a little bit around the base here. yes, I know there's a way to get rid of these little things, but I'm not going to go play with it too much. So I tried not to make it too messy. Put a little bit of a clump there, but it's sideways. So we want to make sure it dries. I'm going to put it up here so I can see whether it's straight or not. So I would look from the top. And I'm going to glue that together too, just to make sure. So you can do final touches like that. Make sure it looks good to you. I don't want to put glue from the glue gun. So like that. So you can put it on different ways too. Then you can fill it with some candy, that kind of thing. So I want to show you how to create this. Just wrap that around I'm using gold cord, and you could do that with any twine. So let me go ahead, I'll take that off. So we're going to do something like that, and hopefully it turns out okay. So I cut about 2 feet. We're going to take my cord here. So we're going to start with a little loop. Not really big, just enough to be able to get an end of the cord through. But you want it to go a little below here, kind of like that. So I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this. First turn will be the hardest. I want this not to be shown, so I'm going to, that's why I'm starting here. So I'm pulling it tight as I go around, maybe about 4 or 5 times. So I believe that's 5, so I'm holding it tight still. Now I'm going to take the other end, I'll place it through the loop. I'm not letting go yet because this is really it'll recoil. So I'm going to go ahead and pull on this loop to close it. Once it gets a little bit tighter, you can go ahead and let go and tie it. So that's from the outside what it'll look like. So now we need to determine how long it needs to be. So what I'm going to do is go around here and determine how much I want it to hang. So I want it to be a little bit higher. I'm just going to go ahead and tie it when it gets to the length I want. So I'm going to just get the length I want right here. Then I'm just going to go ahead and tie a knot. So you can see it's hanging like that. So I want to clean it up, so I'm just going to pull it out. So I could have used less, but I chose to go, I'd rather just do it once, and I did it several times. I did it with less and I messed it up, so. So now let's go see if it gave me the desired result. So here it is hanging off the edge there. It's not perfect, but it gets a result for a paper tassel. You could make like a set of twine tassel. That would be nice. And then here it is with the pattern version. So whatever works for you, play around with it. I've tied it several different ways. Some I like, some I don't. So just something to play with. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this project.